so much for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. And I am very excited to have my friend Tony from BasementBlus here. How's it going, Tony?
Doing good. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, friends, if you've watched the series, The Five, you've seen Tony's. And typically what we do is 5 questions, 5 films, and we're going to do a Criterion edition of this, and it's going to be much smaller and compact. So we're going to do 5 questions that are virtually the same, but all Criterion based and only 1 film per question. So, Tony, I'm very much looking forward to your picks.
Yes, I'm excited.
I will say I'm nervous about all of these conversations because I've done, I think, a good job of like shrinking my wish list to just not go nuts. But I feel like all of these conversations is going to blow up the wish list.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. I love listening to what people have to recommend, and that's usually where all these titles come from, is from recommendations.
Yeah, and I know you're doing the one Criterion, watching one a day for the month, which
Right.
already is not helping because I've already seen 2 of yours that I want to get now. So
I really enjoyed those too.
so it's been cool. So you've watched 2 of them that I was really excited about. That did make my list now, are the 2 Harold Lloyd films you watched.
Yes, and then I've got 2 more of his films that I'm going to purchase during the sale, and I think he only has the 4 that's available right now from Criterion.
I think so. Now there's
really fun movies. I would compare them to like Charlie Chaplin films.
Yeah.
Just a lot of, it's silent films, lots of slapstick, and I don't know, just it's incredible what all they did back in those days.
Now you mentioned, and I messaged you on one of the films you watched. You said one of them is like New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And is Babe Ruth in one of those?
He is, yes.
Is that the one you watched?
Yes, it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I think I need to pick up.
Yeah, special features were great on those also.
Oh, really?
Had a big segment about Babe Ruth on that.
Really?
One, yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to pick that one up. The only one I have of his, I have all Chaplin. I have the Buster Keaton one, but I've got The Freshman is the Harold Lloyd. So
yes.
Yeah. Now, are you in the sale? Are you going for like specific genres or decades, or is yours pretty widespread?
Yeah, pretty widespread. A lot of the titles that I've had in the past, now I'm just pretty much sticking with the future releases, the new releases, and the recent releases.
Okay.
Everything that's older than 4 months, I've pretty much bought that I've wanted.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What is there? I'll ask you one more question, then I'll go into the actual 5 questions. What's one film? You don't have to tell me all they're going to pick up. I'm sure you'll do haul videos, but what's one for you that's kind of near the top that you're hoping to pick up in the sale?
Definitely WALL-E. I want to see WALL-E. I don't know what it is about it. It's just the fact that it's going to be a Disney Pixar film on the Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
See what it looks like, and I'm just looking forward to the special features. Hopefully, it's going to be really good.
I hope so too, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of this partnership looks like.
Yeah, me
in the
too.
future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm looking forward to watching all your haul videos, man.
Okay, good.
Well, cool. Well, let's dive into the 5 questions. What Criterion film have you most recently seen?
So, as you mentioned, I'm watching one a day during the month of November. So today's watch was It Happened One Night. I had never actually seen this one before. It's got Clark Gable in it and Claudette Colbert. It was just a really, I don't know, it was just a really good, I didn't really know what to expect, but it's just like a really good adventure type film. Have you seen this movie before?
I just recently picked it up this year. The only scene I've seen is when they're on the side of the road trying to hail a vehicle.
Exactly.
Claudette.
Yes, that's pretty much their trailer for it. I don't guess there was a true trailer for it, but yes, like I said, I didn't know what to think about it. It's a love story type thing, but it's more than just a love story. It's about these 2 people that just come together, and there's just an adventure throughout from start to finish, and it's just really good. I like the way it turned out.
Cool. I'm a huge fan of hers. So
Yeah.
anything that they've got, I think The Imitation of Life with her is coming out in the new year.
Yeah. And Clark Gable, all I've seen with him is Gone with the Wind. I have never really seen anything else.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I love old black and white films, so this right here was just perfect.
Nice. Great. Next question. What is the first Criterion film that you either watched, and you can't remember that, maybe bought, These are
Oh,
one of those.
I remember. I'm real good at I keep records of everything that I buy. So
I'm not surprised.
the first Criterion film I found was at a Blockbuster Video.
Oh, cool.
It is for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I bought this on October 13th, 2011, and it had a slipcover. I wasn't really big into the slipcovers back then, but I do remember finding this in a Blockbuster, and I love the movie. I had seen it in the theater. I hadn't seen it since then, but I just loved the fact that it came with a slipcover, and it was just a regular wide release, I guess. This was back when the Criterion Collection was mainstream as far as in video stores. But yeah, I found this at a Blockbuster.
And that's the only one that's in an actual Blu-ray case, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, you're right. Exactly. There may be other ones, but yeah, this has got the Blu-ray case.
Yep.
I was trying to think of the other films that are similar to this that came out. I just can't think of them off the top of my head, but just other mainstream movies that came out on the Criterion Collection.
Yeah. Was it Armageddon came out? Yeah.
Armageddon, and there's a few other ones similar to that.
Yeah, it's now in retrospect, it's funny that Armageddon is in the Criterion Collection. It doesn't seem to fit.
Wish I had it.
Yeah, it's crazy. There is every once in a while, like in library sales, you can find
Oh yeah.
some like old school Criterion.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I need to check that out.
Well, nice pick. Third question is, what Criterion film has had the greatest impact on you emotionally, worldview, life perspective? I know I've watched all your content the last like 2 years, so I feel like I felt like today I might be able to guess this one.
Yeah,
but
I actually think this may have came up in our last conversation.
It could have.
But I have a little over 200 Criterion in the collection. So when I read this question, I thought, okay, I got to find something really good. But I kept coming back to Marriage Story.
Okay.
So Marriage Story was one that I've only seen once, but it was very impactful. Just the whole story about this young family and how they kind of fall out of love, and there's a divorce involved. And I don't know, to me, it felt very real the way it was acted. My parents got divorced when I was young. Of course, they got back together and remarried, but I just remember that part of my life. And so this kind of brings that all back to me, just the way that the interactions and the story about it. So to me, I think this is the most emotional, or maybe the most impactful one that I could think of.
Cool.
Really good film.
Yeah, I haven't experienced divorce in my family, with my parents, but those fights that those two have in that film, like my stomach, like it's aching. Like you feel everything in those fights.
It's so raw and very realistic.
Yeah.
It had to be draining on both of them to perform all that.
I can't imagine doing those scenes. Like when you go home at the end of that day, there's no way you're having normal conversations with people.
Right. Exactly.
It was so guttural, like all the emotion, and that one scene when they're in the living room and just screaming at each other.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
And my family, my mom and dad, they were not like that. But I just remember when they got divorced, I was like 4 years old, and those memories are what's real vivid of my childhood. Of course, they were only divorced for a year, and then they got remarried, back together again. And so, but anyway, this right here was just a really good one.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Adam Driver for me I think he's like, in this current generation of actors, is one of our absolute best.
Oh, man, he's amazing. It's amazing what he's done.
He can do anything. He's doing Star Wars. Patterson, I think, is brilliant. Silence, he was incredible. Like his range is unbelievable.
Oh, definitely very good actor.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal pick. You know, one I thought you were going to pull
was
Make Way for Tomorrow.
That was, so I was going back and forth between the two of those. But this right here, I think, was more impactful to me. But I love Make Way for Tomorrow. That's another very sad story.
Well, I've heard you talk about that other film a couple of times. So,
yes.
Yeah, cool.
You almost had it right.
Top two. All right, the next one, fourth question. What Criterion film do you consider to be? I mean, I don't think many of these Criterion films are necessarily underrated because they're in the Criterion Collection, but
Right.
maybe a one that you don't hear people talk about that
Yeah.
you think, oh man, this really should be talked about more.
Yeah. And again, this was another tough one, but I think Detour matches that. I don't hear very many people talk about this one at all. This right here was one that I had no idea about until I started talking with David from Film Collector Archive,
Mm-hmm.
one that recommended this one to me. So I watched it. It's just a little over 60 minutes long. It's a film noir, and it is amazing. It's so well done. It's another old one, of course, black and white, but I hardly ever hear anybody talk about this film. Just a really good one. Have you seen this?
I have not seen it.
Yes, definitely check this one out. It's a very easy watch, a really good story, and just seeing how things were filmed back then, it's just amazing to watch. I think that's what I really appreciate more about the older films is the fact that they don't have the technology we have today, yet they put out some really good stuff way back then.
Absolutely.
And even the shooting schedule back then, they would have a whole film done like within 4 weeks from start to finish. It's just amazing what they got by with and was able to accomplish back then.
Yeah. It's crazy when you read someone's like IMDb page now, the dates of the films by their name, there's like 2 or 3 years between films.
Yes.
And you go back there, like Jimmy Stewart, Claudia Colbert, sometimes there's 3 and 4 films in a year that they were in, and they were major films.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah. That's a good pick. I need to look into that one.
Yeah,
I knew this was going to blow up my wish list, but
yeah.
And the last one, what Criterion film brings you the most joy, hope, laughter, puts a smile on your face?
Yeah, so this is another tough one. I don't know. I've said this many times. A lot of the Criterion films that I gravitate toward are depressing, dark. I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of those kind of down type films. So it's really hard for me to find a good one that's kind of makes you feel good and uplifting. So I came up with Tootsie. Now, this is one that I watched when it came out in the theater when I was growing up. Dustin Hoffman playing Tootsie. It's got Jessica Lange in it as a love interest. This is another one about a family divorce. It kind of puts me in the mind of Mrs. Doubtfire. I think Mrs. Doubtfire took a lot from this film.
Okay.
It's about a husband who couldn't find a job, who had in the industry that he's in, which was acting, soap opera. He couldn't find a job as a male actor, and the only job that was available was a female actor. So he dressed up as a female, and it was the whole time of I don't know. It's just a really good story. It does definitely remind me a lot of Mrs. Doubtfire. So I would highly recommend you check that one.
Okay. I've never seen that one. I know of it, but I've just never seen it.
Got a good soundtrack too.
Oh, does it really?
Oh yeah.
What year did that one come out?
Oh goodness. I'm blind as a bat. 1982.
82. Okay.
Yep, 1982. So I was like 13 years old when this came out.
I don't have a ton of films from the 80s, but on my wish list for this sale is My Dinner with Andre, which is an 80s film.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I need to check that one out.
Yeah, it sounds so interesting. The entire film is just essentially a conversation at a table, which sounds horrible. But apparently it's incredibly gripping. So
okay. Yeah, I have to check that one out.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Tony, I know this is a super short conversation, but
it was very short.
My goal was to put out my goal was to do 30 for 30. But life and just happened, and that won't happen. But I'm looking forward to put a bunch out, and there's so much content out. I thought smaller videos, smaller conversations.
I'm all about the small videos.
I know you are. I told my wife as I was leaving, she said, how long will you be? I said, I'm talking to Tony. I said, he's pretty quick. His videos are tight. So
yeah, I definitely look forward to other conversations that you're going to have with other YouTubers, and maybe give me some more ideas of what I can pick up during this sale.
Anything I think we can all do to destroy each other's budgets is really great.
It's already been very tough. October, November, man, it's been really tough.
It has been. Yeah, I've been preparing for this one and trying to prepare my wife for this. So I think I'm going to get some in this month, and then some even for Christmas gifts.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm going to squeeze some of those in for next month. So
yeah. Very good idea.
Well, friends, check out all of Tony's content. You're already checking it out, I'm sure, but he's got a lot of Criterion content this month, and And yeah, just awesome guy with an awesome channel. So Tony, thanks so much for taking a couple of minutes to answer these questions and sharing some films with us.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's really
Cool.
good time.
Awesome. Thanks again, Tony.
Okay, see ya.
All right.